Good evening. I'll call this meeting of the Housing Authority for the City of Salem for Monday, September 26, 2022 to order. If the recorder will please call the roll.
Vice Chair Stapleton.
I'm here.
Commissioner Nishioka.
I'm here.
Commissioner Phillips is absent. Commissioner Leung is absent. Commissioner Gonzalez is absent. Commissioner Nordyke.
Here.
Commissioner Varney.
Here.
Chair Hoy.
Here. All right. If you'll join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let's see, Vice Chair Stapleton, do we have any additions or deletions to the agenda?
We do not.
Thank you. I see we have nobody signed up for public comment for the Housing Authority. Vice Chair Stapleton, the consent calendar.
Thank you. I move approval of the consent calendar.
Second.
Thank you. All right, today the consent calendar consists of items 3.1A, which is the August 22nd, 2022 draft Salem Housing Authority minutes, and item 3.3A, the adoption of fiscal year 2022-23 operating budgets and HUD certification. And that concludes our consent calendar.
Thank you. Any discussion? If the recorder will please call the roll.
Commissioner Nishioka.
Aye.
Commissioner Phillips absent. Commissioner Leung absent. Commissioner Gonzalez absent. Commissioner Nordyke.
Aye.
Commissioner Varney.
Aye.
Vice Chair Stapleton.
Aye.
Chair Hoy.
Aye. Motion passes. I see we have no public hearings and no special orders of business, but we have an information report, and I see our housing administrator, Ms. Nicole Utes, here with us. Are there any comments you'd like to make on the information report, Ms. Utes, before we ask questions?
Good evening, I'm Nicole Utes. I'm the Housing Administrator for Salem Housing Authority. And tonight, we just wanted to highlight the great work of our Family Self-Sufficiency team, the Boys and Girls Club of Salem, and the great teamwork to help the children in the Salem community receive backpacks. This has been an ongoing effort for nearly 2 decades or longer, and it's great to see that the need is being filled. I will tell you the need was more than we've seen in previous years, and we were able to help 110 of our own children at the Housing Authority. So that was greatly appreciated. So also I wanted to update everybody on that we've hit the 30-day mark for closing for Sequoia Crossings. So we're almost to the closing line to get Sequoia Crossings and 60 units of permanent supportive housing under construction for Salem community that is located out on Broadway Street, as well as give you an update on Yaquina Hall. Yaquina Hall has been under construction since late December of 2022, and Yaquina Hall is still on track. We do have a bit of a market capacity delay on our window production of historic windows that are coming from New York. These are redesigned to look like historic windows from the past, and they are supposed to be arriving in late October, early November. So false windows have been put into place, and we do have security measures there at the location. We are looking forward to receiving those and hopefully getting that back on track for a completion date, the end of January 2023. Also, a quick update on our strategic plan and our hiring process, and a huge shout out to our City of Salem Human Resources team who has been patient, diligent, and helping us through this very daunting task of getting all these new hires in place for Salem Housing Authority. But we have 5 new hires that have started recently or about to start. We have another 4 that are under consideration. So we're making good progress on this, and this is a huge relief to the agency. So I do know that 3 started today, which is pretty phenomenal.
That's excellent. And I don't know if it was just on my end or if it was on your end. I apologize for the barking dog. But when you were talking about the numbers of people you helped with the backpacks. Your audio kind of faded out. Could you repeat those numbers again so people are really aware of the great work the staff did?
So we assisted 110 children with backpacks at the Salem Housing Authority through our family self-sufficiency program.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Are there any questions for the housing administrator? I apologize. Vice Chair Stapleton.
Thanks. I love it when people's pets cause a ruckus in meetings. It's fantastic. Ms. Oots, thank you so much for this report. And thank you so much for also the operating budget that was included in our consent calendar today. I read the whole thing and, and I wanted to provide some feedback, and that is that I am continually just overwhelmed with the amount of work that the Salem Housing Authority does, and the good work that you're doing is so key for our community to move out of the current unhoused crisis that we're in now. And I read the budget, and as somebody who's been doing this for 2 years, I could track, like I could follow what was happening and where things were going. But I don't think that somebody who hasn't been sitting with you for 2 years could track, right? And I was reading it and thinking, and this might just be my like homeschooling mom brain that kicks into gear, and I apologize. So anyway, I was thinking, gosh, this is a missed opportunity to educate folks. You know, when we do the budget for the city, it's multiple meetings, of course, and there's all these different areas that we kind of hone in on each night, really give time for questions and understanding. And I understand that this is different, but I thought, gosh, it would be really great if we could use this to just better educate folks and maybe provide. I'm just really curious about how to educate the general public on things. And I know engagement is low just across the board on a million things. But when we provide documents that don't, that are hard to follow, right? We just like continue the status quo of government not being accessible to people. And one, I want people to know what's happening, because I think they would be so proud of you and your team, and just as proud as I am. And so I would love for us to look at, I know with the reorg and all of that that's happening, there's so much going on there. But maybe next year when we go for budget, maybe we could think about this in a little bit different way as an opportunity to educate the public and really, you know, toot your own horn about what you're doing out there because it is so important. So I wanted to provide that feedback, but everything looks wonderful, and it's always a pleasure to get your reports. I'm really thankful for the work you're doing.
Thank you, and I appreciate the feedback. Nicole Utz with Salem Housing Authority. I wanted to say that this is part of our greater strategic plan, and we really do want to communicate. And part of that plan does include a communications individual, as well as budget analysis and grant management analysis to help feed this information out into the community and to provide that better understanding. Hopefully in 2023, we can bring back a whole presentation and get more feedback. That is really our goal of this strategic plan, and we're looking forward to it.
Thank you, Ms. Yates. Are there any other questions or comments? Commissioner Nordyke.
Thank you so much. I think Commissioner Stapleton is spot on. I would love to see more public education about what you do. I see this all the time. I've been a government employee myself for over 14 years. You're so busy doing the work that you don't have time to telegraph the work that you're actually doing. So I know the city is exploring a communication strategy and hiring a consultant and this and that. And I hope that that includes all the great work that you're doing, just like Commissioner Stapleton pointed out. You guys are working so hard. You don't have time to be your own PR company, but you should because you are serving a lot of people. And when I tell folks that we have, 2,900 kids in our public housing, and that's like the single biggest demographic, more than seniors, more than persons with disabilities, it pulls at people's heartstrings and it makes them think, oh, right, we are serving people in need. We are serving a lot of sympathetic people in need. Sympathy shouldn't matter, but it kind of does in the public sphere of the public court of opinion. So anyway, I echo what Commissioner Stapleton said, and I'm hopeful that we can devise a communication strategy that helps get the word out.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments for Ms. Utes? All right. Well, thank you, Ms. Utes, for the wonderful report and the great work as always. And if there's nothing else, we are adjourned.
Thank you.
Oops. I'm going to call this city council meeting for Monday, September 26th to order. If the recorder, please call the roll.
Councilor Stapleton,
I'm here.
Councilor Nishioka,
I'm here.
Councilor Phillips absent, Councilor Leung absent, Councilor Gonzalez absent, Councilor Hoy,
Here.
Councilor Nordyke,
Here.
Councilor Barney,
Here.
Mayor Bennett.
Here. Okay. Do we have any additions or deletions, Councilor Hoy?
Yes, I move approval of additions and deletions to the agenda.
Second.
Second by Stapleton.
We have item 3.3J. We had a report added for the priorities for the 2023 Oregon legislative session, and item 5A, motion from Councilor Vanessa Nordyke concerning a request for proposal for a mobile crisis unit. We had a report added.
All right. Any discussion? Would you call the roll, Amy?
Councilor Nordyke,
Aye.
Councilor Barney,
Aye.
Councilor Stapleton,
Aye.
Councilor Nishioka,
Aye.
Councilor Phillips absent, Councilor Leung absent, Councilor Gonzalez absent, Councilor Hoy,
Aye.
Mayor Bennett.
Aye. Okay, motion passes. Council and city manager comment. Any comments from councilors? Okay. Oh, Councilor Stapleton.
Thank you so much. I wanted to quickly recognize some residents in West Salem who did some amazing work. Back on August 19th, there was a fire at the Oak Savannah behind the fire station there off of Orchard Heights Road. And I was reading about this and just hearing about the amazing work that these residents did. You know, not only did they call 911, but when they recognized that the fire station there was already out on a call and they had to wait for somebody else to get there, they took matters into their own hands by starting their irrigation systems and pulling out hoses and going door to door and knocking on people's houses to get people out. They even helped somebody with mobility issues to a safe place. And of course, everything ended well. The fire was put out and about 70% of the field burned there. And this is actually kind of exciting for somebody like me who loves this kind of science experiment that now Willamette students and West High students are going to be out there checking out the ecological changes that happen when something is burned like that. And of course, these Oak Savannas were maintained by fire for millennia. And so really a great opportunity to educate these kids, not only in high school, but college, and the general public that live around there. Really an amazing outcome. There they have some milkweed there. And of course, this is something that we've done the mayor's Monarch Pledge for milkweed. And I've also donated a bunch of milkweed that I grow, the seeds to this. So it's really just a great place. I'm excited to see what happens now that it's burned. But I wanted to thank the residents there for just being good neighbors and doing what they could to help and helping each other in a time of need. And so thank you, residents. And I look forward to seeing just what happens there at that Oak Savannah and how the fire is positively influencing that ecological system. So thanks so much.
Great, thank you very much. Anyone else? Okay, very good. Proclamations, I'll begin.
Mr. Mayor?
No.
Sorry, I had some remarks. Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see your hand up.
That's quite all right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and good evening, colleagues. It's wonderful to see all of you. Tonight, I am wearing my Hands Across the Bridge t-shirt in honor of Suicide Prevention Month and Suicide Awareness Month. And I want to thank Councilor Hoy, Council President Hoy, and Mayor-elect Hoy for being one of the speakers at our Hands Across the Bridge event. Thank you for coming down and showing your support. The reason I wanted to draw attention to this event again is that we are facing a situation with mental health crises increasing across our community. And that is due to a lot of external factors. There are predictions of more evictions. More evictions means more people in crisis. More addiction for methamphetamine and other dangerous drugs. More addiction means more people in crisis. And recently, I saw an announcement that the Oregon State Hospital is being ordered to release patients early. More people being released early from a psychiatric hospital means more people in crisis. And so that is, all of these things are part of the ongoing urgency for bringing a mobile crisis unit specifically to Salem. Now, you'll see that we had a lot of public comment in support of mobile crisis. You'll notice that we have some of the same people providing testimony as before, but a lot of new people too, including business owners, is a trained professional psychiatrist, persons who work with people experiencing homelessness in the shelters, and a lot of concerned residents. And you may have noticed that we received a lot of public comment from members of our public who are concerned about having our public safety responders, specifically police, be the ones who are tasked with responding to any and all mental health calls that come over 911. And there's even an investigation right now about a tasering of a person of color who's ended up in the hospital. So, and it's my hope that that investigation, which has already been ordered, is that the investigation will address taser training. Our officers being trained on when and how to fire a taser. Will the investigation conduct an impartial review of the tasering and the use of force in this case? Will we find out the extent of Mr. Garcia's injuries, who, as I understand, is 29 years old and weighs about 90 pounds? So what I see, however, are opportunities for partnership. And one quick example before we get on to the rest of our meeting. So one of our community partners shared this. There was a sergeant from the Salem Police Department who alerted a local outreach team about a situation that he needed assistance with. And there was an unsheltered person sleeping beneath a bridge that the Oregon Department of Transportation crews were trying to inspect. The sergeant told the team that he had tried to get the individual to leave, but the individual became upset and began to escalate. The sergeant quickly realized that he was not the right person for the situation, and that his presence was escalating the individual to a level that had the potential of turning into something more serious and maybe even dangerous. And I know that our officers are trained in de-escalation, but we also know from the testimony that we have received over the last 2 years that all the de-escalation training in the world is still comes from a person wearing a badge and a gun. Now, the team who was contacted by the police sergeant was able to get on site within 10 minutes of the call, and they made contact with this person. And they spent 35 minutes with that individual building rapport and de-escalating the situation. They were able to get him to come out from underneath the bridge and relocate so that the ODOT crews could do their job and complete the bridge inspection. And so for their quick response and actions in the field, the team members were presented with Salem Police Challenge coins. So this is an example of how our community partners can work with law enforcement. This doesn't have to be an us versus them. We need a full and complete public safety spectrum that includes our police, includes our fire, includes our ambulance, and includes civilians who can respond to other types of crises, the right tool for the right job. So I see this as just one example of how our police and our community partners can work together to de-escalate situations and help people reach a safe resolution. So I'm looking forward to talking about the motion that I brought tonight, because people are in despair and they need hope. And a mobile crisis unit is hope on wheels. So thank you. Looking forward to further discussion.
Yep, thank you. Anyone else? All right, I'll move on then to proclamations. Whereas October is nationally recognized as Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and whereas the 31 days in October is aimed at raising awareness using pink ribbon imagery, educating people about breast health, available services and programs, recognizing survivors, their supporters and loved ones, and honoring women and men who lost their lives to this disease. Whereas Breast Cancer Awareness Month is an opportunity to unite the community and spread important messages of early detection and screening, as well as prevention and assistance to women and men during and after treatment to increase survivorship and quality of life. And whereas in the Pacific Northwest, 1 in 7 women are affected by breast cancer, while the national average is 1 in 8 women, and is the leading cause of death for women in the United States. And whereas the Pink Lemonade Project, an organization based in Vancouver, Washington, through its Treatment Access Program, provides funding for individuals who need transportation assistance in order to get to cancer treatment appointments. The Pink Lemonade Project has provided more than $5,000 in aid to breast cancer patients in Marion and Polk counties so far this year. The project also partners with Northwest Family Services to assist with local Latina support group. Now, therefore, I, Chuck Bennett, Mayor of the City of Salem, do hereby proclaim October 2022 as Breast Cancer Awareness Month and urge people to increase their knowledge about breast cancer and drive action to build on the significant advances we've made. This is dated the 26th day of September 2022. Now, I'd like to recognize, one moment, please, I apologize, Suzanne Stearns, who's CEO of the Pink Lemonade Project. Suzanne, are you with us?
I am. I'm right here.
Okay. Just wanted to thank you for being here and let you know we're sending this along to you.
Thank you so much. And just to clarify, Pink Lemonade Project, we were founded in Vancouver and initially served the Portland, Vancouver metro area. As our local Coleman affiliate closed in March of 2021 as part of a national consolidation by the Coleman National Organization. Is grateful to be here with you tonight. We were working in partnership with the hospitals and the cancer centers in the Salem metro area, and we are serving patients that travel farther distances to get to your hospitals. We work with the social workers and navigators to help get the applications completed so people can get transportation assistance. And as you mentioned, we are serving Latinas in your area, and Pink Lemonade Project, in partnership with Northwest Family Services and Oregon Head Start, or OCDC, is offering a virtual support group for Latinas in Spanish. And we do have a participant from Salem join us every month. And the virtual support group, in fact, is including women from Salem all the way into Vancouver.
Great. Thank you very much, Susan. Okay.
Thanks.
Oops. Are you?
I said thank you.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Okay, Linda Nishioka.
Thank you, Mayor Bennett. So I have the honor of reading the next proclamation, which is, whereas the National Diaper Need Awareness Week is intended to draw attention to the issue of diaper need in the U.S. and in Oregon, and whereas the national surveys and research indicate that 1 in 3 families struggle with diaper needs. And whereas children go through 6 to 12 diapers per day, and without enough diapers, babies and toddlers risk infections and health problems. And whereas the city of Salem is proud to be home to a trusted and committed community partner, the Salem Cloth Project, which recognizes the importance of diapers in ensuring health and providing economic stability for families. And whereas the Salem Cloth Project distributes diaper kits and training to anyone who requests them via its website, including family building blocks, Aware Food Bank, and women at the Grace House, at the Well Grace House. And whereas in 2021, the Salem Cloth Project distributed 202 cloth diaper kits to 116 families. And now, therefore, Chuck Bennett, Mayor of the City of Salem, does hereby proclaim September 24th through October 2nd, 2022 as the National Diaper Need Awareness Week, and urge people to raise their awareness about diaper needs and work together to ensure all families have access to clean diapers for their young children. Dated this 26th day of September 2022. And I would like to introduce Kaylee, who is the founder and coordinator, executive director, and all kinds of titles for the Salem Cloth Project, so that she can speak a little bit about her wonderful program.
There you are, Kaylee. Kaylee Westerman Lewis. Kaylee, go ahead. We're not hearing you. I don't think.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, thank you.
Oh, thank goodness. That would have been real bad. Thank you for your patience, and thank you, Councilor, for that really kind introduction. I know that you all do a lot of proclamations, and so I hope that it doesn't feel repetitive, because honestly, as a small organization, it means a really great deal to have this platform and to talk about this. Diaper Need Awareness Week is an opportunity for diaper banks and other individuals throughout our community to talk about the impact of diaper need and how it impacts our community. So again, just kind of bringing the awareness to our Salem community really does mean a whole lot. So I thank you, and I am very honored to be here today. So again, I'm Kaylee Westerman Lewis. I'm the founder of Salem Cloth Project. We're a 501c3 cloth diaper bank. We provide families in Marion and Polk County access to free cloth diaper services. We provide education and resources and basically anything that a family needs in order to get started using cloth diapers. So I've got some fun facts for you to keep in your pocket. So in Marion County alone, 10,000 tons of disposable diapers are thrown away every single year. So it's just in Marion County. And an even more fun fact is that the weight of the disposable diapers are on par with construction and demolition debris. So while construction and demolition debris, often they have some recycling options, disposable diapers do not. So that paired with the fact that 1 in 3 families in the United States experience diaper need is really why Salem Cloth Project was founded. We started Salem Cloth Project as an effort to bring financial and environmental sustainability to our community and to really try and uplift the families that are experiencing some of these hardships. So like Councilor said, in 2021, we passed out over 200 diaper kits. And for those families, every single month, we are saving them around $80 to $100 in diaper expenses. So over the course of a year, they're saving about $1,000. They're not having to go to the store, rush to the store when they run out of diapers. And one of the things that we hear most often is that the children that are using our cloth diapers, they are experiencing less diaper rash, they're experiencing less health issues. And one of the most important things is that families are able to keep their children in childcare. Because families that are experiencing diaper need, if they can't provide enough supply of diapers to their childcare centers, they typically have to skip they have to take off work and they cannot go to the childcare center. So that's one of the most important things for us, is to help families feel financially sustainable, as well as being environmentally sustainable. So we are very happy to be here today. And if you want to find out more, visit our website at salemclothproject.org. And I really encourage you just to spread the word and let folks know that we exist and that families are out there. It is something that really isn't talked about a lot, even though there are a lot of families that experience it. So just letting folks know that we are a resource and that we can provide them with plenty of access to cloth diapers, education, what have you. So thank you again for this opportunity. I really appreciate it.
Great. Thank you very much, Kaylee. Yes, Councilor Nishioka.
Yes, I just wanted to let everyone know that you can go to the Salem Cloth Project, and there are other things that people can purchase that are outside of diapers to help support their project. And one of the really cool one is it's like paper towels on a roll, but they're cloth. You can use them and then wash them and then roll them back up again. So I just found her website and her great project to be really worthwhile. I wanted to commend her for that. And I'm so grateful that we could do this proclamation. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes.
Thank you very much, Kaylee. Okay, we will move on then to public comment. I'll remind members of the public, you have 3 minutes. Please, at the end of 3 minutes, you'll see a timer. Please stop talking. Councilors will have a chance to ask you questions. Julianne Jackson.
Hello. Just get started or yeah?
Yeah, go ahead.
Awesome. So I'm here to talk about 5A, which is the Mobile Crisis Unit. Obviously, I think some of you know me. I've spent the last 2 years pointing out what Salem is not necessarily doing great. And if we took the step forward, I think I would finally have something great to talk about. We know that this is working in Eugene. We know that tough on crime tactics for the last 50 years have gotten us where we are right now, and that they're not working, and that something else has to be done. The results in Eugene are clear. It's saving the city money. It's helping people with mental health crises. It's getting people to the sources and resources that they need. And I just would like to encourage you to pass it. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. Any questions for Julianne? Okay. Thanks a lot. Phil Carver.
Hello, I'm Phil Carver, representing 350 Salem of Oregon. I live at 1007 Newport Road, Southeast, 97306. And what I'm talking about agenda item 3.3A, which is the airport expansion. And we're not opposing accepting the federal funds. That's pretty much in the pipeline. But we are asking that the city conduct an analysis of the fiscal risks and greenhouse gas emissions of this of the airport expansion. And at a previous city council meeting, the councilors discussed the fiscal risks. And Mayor Bennett, you have been through some of these financial risks and experienced the downfall of subsidizing these airports with city funds, building structures, and then having the airlines just leave. And so what I ask is that the city conduct an analysis of these risks, looking at not just the past history of Salem, but of other cities, and how well does this process work out of small cities putting their neck out and getting a new commercial air service. And we're also asking that you conduct a greenhouse gas emissions study of the long-range impacts of commercial air service if it were to be granted. And both of these efforts are to, the first effort in terms of fiscal analysis is to look at this decision through an equity lens, because most of the money that the city would spend would be, that if it put its neck out, it would not be from the airport fund, but would be general fund money. That's the money I'm concerned about, that we're concerned about. And that money would come from low and medium and high income taxpayers. But the air service, commercial air service out of Salem is going to be predominantly used by high income taxpayers. So that's a transfer if the city is out this money. I know it's not planned to use any city money, general fund money. The plan could really have some hiccups. And similarly, major efforts by the city should look through a climate lens. And in my professional testimony, I'm a professional economist. I believe that the airport expansion would increase greenhouse gas emissions generally and also in the city inventory. And if the city is going to have a climate action plan, then it needs to look at major city actions through a climate lens and do studies of the impact of major city actions. The city is not absolutely committed to risking general fund money yet, and we'd like those studies done before the city makes an absolute commitment. Thank you for your time and all the efforts that you do as unpaid city councilors and mayors. And I also, the staff who are paid, you do a great job too. Thank you.
Thanks, Phil. Are there any questions for Dr. Carver?
Thank you.
Okay, very good. Lori Doherty.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, my name is Lori Doherty. I live in Ward 1. I'm also with 350 Salem, Oregon, the local affiliate of climate justice organization 350.org. And thank you for the opportunity to comment on agenda item 6D, the information report from Fire Chief Mike Niblock. We are grateful, very grateful for the courage, hard work, and collaborative effort by the Salem Fire Department to contain the recent Vita Springs fire. At the last City Council meeting, Chief Niblock reported on that effort and on the challenges of also responding to 2 structure fires, one that destroyed 2 houses, as well as 100 other calls. There is a better way to meet such challenges. Almost all emergencies involving the fire department are medical. Rather than continuing the expensive, wasteful practice of sending both fire trucks and ambulances on medical calls, Salem needs more ambulances and rapid response vehicles deployed where they can achieve desired response time. Compared to fire trucks, ambulances are smaller, more fuel efficient, and equipped to transport patients as well as stabilize them. This will reduce wear and tear on fire trucks and ensure that firefighters and trucks are ready and available for fighting fires. The bond measure, which we support for its opportunities to improve safety and convenience for pedestrians, bicycles, and people with disabilities, also offers a once-in-a-generation chance to move the Salem Fire Department into the 21st century. Trucks and equipment purchased now will last for decades. It's critical to make sure that this money is used for vehicles that align with Salem's climate goals, make smart use of new technologies, and make careful use of city funds. Climate change is here and will bring more fires like Vita Springs and the Santiam Canyon fires that 2 years ago came dangerously close to Salem. At the same time as Salem needs to prepare for climate impact, we also must do our part to reduce climate changing emissions. This means applying a climate lens to city policies, practices, and purchases. Business as usual is no longer an option. I submitted a longer written comment that includes references to new technologies and protocols coming online in other cities that can reduce emissions, reduce costs, and bring Salem's emergency response into the 21st century. Thank you.
Thank you, Lori. Any questions for Lori? All right. Deanie Medlock.
Hi. Thank you so much for allowing me to speak. I'm Danae Medlock from Ward 4. I am speaking in regards to agenda item 5A. I would like to state I am strongly in support of a mobile crisis unit. I think this is a win-win situation. If you look at it both ways, having a mobile crisis unit will help more people. It will reduce the overall cost for public safety. And honestly, if you think about it, we need a mobile crisis unit because it would complete our public safety team that we need for where we're at now. I really think that looking at it, standing back from a common sense point of view, we can really see the benefits that come from this. I am got to tell you, I've been very, very impressed with our police officers and our firefighters, and they are doing so much. And what I think this mobile crisis unit would do would make it so that there would be more that people could do together, as opposed to overwhelming with calls that could be handled by a mobile crisis unit. So I will leave with that, but Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Medlock? Okay. Rachel Coble.
Yes, hello. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I am speaking on issue 5A, which is the mobile crisis unit. I personally lost a family member during a mental health crisis earlier this year who was killed by police. And I believe that had there been a mobile crisis unit, things could have gone much differently. And I think that there is still a lot of time for us to invest in something like this, save lives, make sure our police force is not overworked, and really implement that and make it a priority to ensure that our most struggling citizens have the resources that they need. Unfortunately, a lot of the time, these people in crisis are just kind of swept under the rug and they don't have an advocate or someone to speak for them. And that is what a mobile crisis unit would be for these people. And that is everything. That could be life-changing for somebody. So I just urge all of you to please pass this. It's beyond time.
Thank you very much, Rachel. Okay, any questions? Okay. And Kevin Mannix.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. I hope you all can hear me.
Yes.
I'm Kevin Mannix. I'm a resident of the City of Salem. I've had my law practice in this city for many years, and I'm pleased to have this opportunity to visit with you briefly this evening. I speak to you in support of item 3.3A, which is the acceptance of a small community air service development grant in the amount of $850,000. I think that this is a very important, positive opportunity for the city of Salem. It's also an important, positive opportunity for the state of Oregon and our capital city from the perspective of state government. I do believe that the implementation of this grant, the acceptance and implementation over time, will do a couple of things that need to be remembered. Not only would it enhance the availability of air service, but with the availability of that air service, these folks are going to travel by air anyway. And the question is whether or not they have 120 miles round trip to go to Portland or 120 miles round trip to go to Eugene in round figures, where you have fossil fuel use, you have congestion on I-5, et cetera. But also in terms of the need for this facility, we will enhance the economy of Salem. We will develop additional jobs, and our state capital will no longer be one of only 5 state capitals in the United States, which does not have commercial air service. We happen to be the largest city among those 5 state capitals, and I do think that we could work this program in such a way that we would ensure that the business community and our state government come forward to make sure that this is an economically viable project, that we are getting our state employees to fly in and out of Salem rather than Portland or Eugene, and not driving back and forth on I-5, et cetera, but also enhancing the tourism opportunities in the Mid-Willamette Valley. There are a number of good reasons for this to be accepted. At the same time, implementation needs to be carefully carried out. I understand that. And as you carry it out, I urge you to let your City of Salem personnel know that this is an urgently needed project. This is a great opportunity that should be grasped. And I thank you all for the opportunity to share these thoughts with you this evening.
Thank you, Kevin. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Mannix? All right. Thanks a lot. That's everyone signed up. So we'll move to our consent calendar. Councilor Hoy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move approval of the consent calendar with the exception of item 3.3J pulled by Councilor Nordyke.
Second.
3.3J, Councilor?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
So that leaves us with item 3.1A, the September 12th, 2022 draft city council minutes. Item 3.1B, September 19th, 2022 draft joint city council and Salem Area Mass Transit District Board work session minutes. Item 3.2A, an Oregon Department of Energy Community Renewable Energy Grant. Item 3.2B, which initiates naming an unnamed connection between streets in West Salem as West Side Circle Northwest. And item 3.3A, the acceptance of a small community air service development grant award. Item 3.3B, purchase and sale agreement with James Louder LLC, South Slope Investments LLC, P. Shelton LLC, MDEH Holdings LLC, and Koppel LLC for acquisition of real property adjacent to Franzen Reservoir. Item 3.3C, an intergovernmental agreement with the Oregon Department of Land Conservation and Development for a land use study and community engagement plan. Item 3.3D, purchase and sale agreement with Don Lule Homes, Inc. for acquisition of real property adjacent to Franzen Reservoir. Item 3.3E, an intergovernmental agreement with the Oregon State Fire Marshal Office Engine Program. Item 3.3F, City Council action following a final order issued by the Land Use Board of Appeals reversing the City Council's decision denying conditional use permit, Class 3 site plan review, Class 2 adjustment, Class 2 driveway approach permit, and Class 1 design review case number CU-SPR-ADJ-DAP-DR21-05. Item 3.3G, recommended appointments and reappointments to the Citizen Budget Committee, Community Police Review Board, Municipal Judge Compensation Commission, Salem Cultural and Tourism Promotion Advisory Board, Salem Planning Commission, and Salem Public Art Commission. Item 3.3H, compensation changes for select management job classifications, creation of a new represented classification, addition of a part-time non-represented FTE, and new pay incentive programs. Item 3.3I, corrected order for an annexation of territory located at 4650 and 4680 Hazelgreen Road Northeast and land adjacent, annexation case number C-749. And that concludes the consent calendar.
That is it. Do I have a second? Did we have a second? Was it you, Virginia? Thank you. Okay. Any discussion? Okay. Amy, would you call the roll, please?
Councilor Varney.
Aye.
Councilor Stapleton.
Aye.
Councilor Nishioka.
Aye.
Councilor Phillips. Absent. Councilor Leung.
Aye.
Councilor Gonzalez.
Aye.
Welcome, you both. Councilor Hoy.
Aye.
Councilor Nordyke.
Aye.
Mayor Bennett.
Aye. Okay, motion passes. We'll go to public hearing. Amy, do you want to lead us off here?
Yes. The City Council will now conduct a public hearing to consider Community Development Block Grant and Home Investment Partnership Programs, Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report, CAPER. The hearing will begin with a staff presentation, and no individual signed up to testify. Thank you.
Thank you. And who's our staff presenter?
Shelley Einger.
Shelley?
Yes, sir. I'm on.
There
I'm sorry.
you are. Hi.
Yeah, trying to do 2 or 3 things at one time.
Right.
Good evening, Mayor Bennett and council members. My name is Shelley Einger, and I am a program manager in the Urban Development Department. Before you tonight is the 2021-2022 Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report, or as we call it, the CAPER. The U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development requires the city to report on the performance of the projects or programs that expended Community Development Block Grant, or CDBG, and Home Investment Partnership funds during the period of July 1, 2021, and to June 30th, 2022. The Consolidated Annual Performance Report provides an assessment of federal entitlement funding activities intended to meet the needs of individuals in our community that earn 80% or less of the median family income. For a family of 4 residing in Salem, The annual maximum income limit to participate in the program is $56,550. A very low income family of 4 would have a maximum household income of $35,350. The consolidated plan is a 5-year effort to address many of the community needs. This is the second year for reporting for the 2020 through 2024 consolidated plan. As with the council's goals, at the beginning of each fiscal year, the city prepares an annual action plan. This action plan informs HUD and citizens what goals and objectives the city intends to meet with both the CDBG and home funding. At the end of the fiscal year, the city prepares this caper to illustrate the actual accomplishments achieved during that program year. Some program funds are carried over from one year to the next, and we'll talk a little bit about some of those programs that will have received the funds, but they will be going into next year program year. Based upon applications from community partners, there were 2 priority funding goals. One was addressing homelessness, and the second was expanding affordable housing. And these are goals that council also set out. During the 2020-2021 program year, $2.6 million in federal resources were expended. This is an increase in the previous year, in part to the limited person-to-person engagement that happened during the COVID shutdown. You will also notice that $440,000 in CDBG COVID resources were used to prepare, prevent, and respond to the pandemic. We did not report on these activities last year because HUD did not provide us the guidance as to how they wanted these numbers to be reported. However, they will be reported this year in our paper. We want you also to know that rent and utility assistance, along with PPE, were the primary expenditures for the COVID resources. We want to go back to goal number 1, addressing homelessness. There were many programs designed to prevent and/or addressing homelessness during this implementation period. Those programs included interim housing or subsistence payments, case management, the rehabilitation of affordable housing, tenant-based rental assistance or TBRA, and security deposit assistance. Completed projects include case management to support homeless youth, women, and survivors of domestic violence. Additionally, the funding supported Meals on Wheels for seniors, rent and utility assistance. 7,700 persons received services under this goal. You will also note that 2 ongoing activities are community priorities, especially the Salem Winter Warming and the Summer Cooling Center Network. Goal number 2, expand affordable housing. Several housing projects are ongoing. Affordable housing development is a very complicated and challenging process that on average takes 4 to 7 years to go from conception to lease-up. The One Council housing project began in 2017. Unfortunately, it was not able to find financing outside of the small amount that we had available for the home program. However, there were 2 different entities that owned the parcel of land, as well as 3 different developers. So we spend as much time as we can working with our partners to try and get housing activity to completion. Many of the affordable housing projects are financed with private loans, federal tax credits, and state funding streams. Some delays have been a consequence of supply chain issues and increased building material costs. I believe you heard Ms. Boots speak a few moments ago about the windows not being delivered for your Glenelg Hall. We're finding those type of delays in regards to these other projects. Also, inflation is a factor in securing construction financing. We do not expect this to be relieved until 2025. However, the challenges are not stopping the projects from moving forward. Upon completion, the combined capital investment of the projects before you will exceed $100 million and provide new affordable housing options in the city. The city received 2 tranches of community development block grant funding to prevent, prepare, respond, and assist in the pandemic recovery. The subrecipients purchased PPE, assisted with rent, child care for first responders, and much needed mental health aimed at supporting youth as they return to a sense of normalcy. New opportunities were born, including a partnership between the city, Mid-Willamette Valley Community Action Agency, the Early Learning Hub, and Chemeketa College. The program goals will result in an increase in in-home child care providers and provide the business acumen many home child care providers are in need of. I will also note the ongoing activities include rent and utility assistance. We must have a COVID tieback to use these particular funds from the federal government. However, there are rent and utility assistance still available under the CDBG COVID resources. As I mentioned earlier, the city has experienced some challenges in administering programs during this reporting period. However, the number of persons infected with the COVID virus decreased, and there were many restrictions still in place. This impacted the number of persons that could be served. Staffing shortages and turnover due to burnout were also challenges impacting many of our partner organizations. I provide you that the city worked with 25 partners during this reporting period. We do as much groundwork as possible to assist those partners in making successful accomplishments. We would like to sincerely thank each and every one of them for their dedication to the community. This is difficult work, and the circumstances made it even more challenging. Next steps. Preceding tonight's public hearing, a 15-day comment period allowed citizens the opportunity to review and comment on the performance outcomes. As of this time, no comments have been received. We will be submitting the report to HUD, who then will submit the report to Congress. And with that, I thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions for Shelley? Yes, Councilor Hoy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Shelley, for that great presentation. I appreciate it. Can you confirm something for me? I just want to make sure that I have the correct understanding. Through these programs, we're strictly a funding source for other programs. We're not providing any direct services to clients, are we?
Councilor Boyd, that's a wonderful question, and you are absolutely correct. The city does not provide the direct services. We have people, our organizations that are more experienced, and this is their daily mission and their work, and we support them by providing technical assistance, training, as well as connecting them with other entities in our area.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, Councilor Nordyke.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Shelley. My hat is off to you and all of us for this uplifting report. I do have some questions. On page 11 of the CAPER report, it shows about $9 million received in block grant and home funds, but I'm only seeing about 2.6 million being spent during the reporting period. Is that typical? Do we have a plan for how the rest of those funds will be spent? Because I was a little unclear from page 11.
Absolutely, that is correct. Those resources, when council approved the annual action plan in May of this year, some of those carryover funds were then committed to those new projects. Also, we have had some projects that, unfortunately, due to those supply chains and due to the inflation and the increased costs, we've had to backfill or give some additional gap financing, especially to our housing projects. The things that I mentioned in regards to why the projects haven't finished, some of that is just finding the financing to make it happen. So we have had to backfill some of those.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Mayor, I have two more questions.
Sure, you go ahead. Yeah.
Terrific. Thank you, Shelley. That's helpful. So now I'm turning to page 16. Page 16 shows our one-year goals for providing affordable housing units. And in table 9, it shows a one-year goal of providing a total of 2,844 affordable housing units for homeless households, non-homeless households, and special needs households. Unfortunately, when you contrast that with the actual, it's 0. So I'm concerned about why it looks like we fell far short of the goal. Can you explain that, please?
Sure. Part of that is having to do with those, you can't count it as an accomplishment until those units are actually constructed and leased up. And so because that pipeline has not come to fruition, we can't count those as having made those accomplishments. Again, this is year 2 of a 5-year plan. At the end of the 5 years, that's when you will see that we have made significant accomplishments. I think you'll actually see it at the end of 2024 because you'll have Dequina Hall coming on. You will have South Fair, which is a project that would have several units. You'll have Sequoia and other projects that you're familiar with, but those that you're not. We had some private developers that are building Salem Gateway, which is off of Greenville Road. We also have the single family home ownership opportunity that's going to be coming online. So at the end of the 2024 program year, which you'll get the report in 2025, I think you'll be very pleased with how those numbers have come about.
Okay, that's terrific. And just my final question, and this is from one of my constituents who has been reading the reports very, very carefully. I so appreciate the level of engagement from Ward 7 people. The comment really has to do with the development of affordable housing is highly complicated and it's a challenging process that on average takes 4 to 7 years from conception to lease up based on what the report says. And I think the question my community member has is, are we as a council and as a city team looking at ways to speed up the process? I mean, we all know about the supply chain issues. We all know we need thousands more construction workers to meet the need. But if there's anything we can do on our end, that would be great. I know we're streamlining permitting processes, which is fantastic for our developers. I know they're very happy about that. But are there other suggestions that you have for us to make this process go any faster?
Sure. I think everyone would love to see additional housing. And each development project is so unique in as much as our analysis supports that we need additional capacity building. If we could have additional developers, both private and public, who are able to get the primary source of funds from Oregon Housing and Community Services, it would help develop that pipeline of housing opportunities here in the city of Salem. We are also looking at ways that the projects need to be shovel ready, so that we can get the money to those projects that are ready to start construction. In the past, we've kind of looked at a project based upon people going out to get funds from other places, Whereas if they have the other financing in place and then allow us to be the true gap funding, we think we can get more housing built that way. I will say that affordable housing is highly regulated, and legislative changes at the federal and state level would be needed if, in fact, we were to make this pipeline go faster.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shelley. Councilor Stapleton?
Thank you so much. Yeah, I had a couple of questions here. One of which was, actually, I'll start with this. Councilor Nordyke, you and I think a lot alike, because these were some of the exact same questions that I sent on to staff earlier this morning. And thank you, staff, for getting my list of questions late, of course. And I look forward to sitting down and just going through this so I can better understand it. A couple of questions that I haven't asked yet is about the public feedback and comment time and how we are reaching our community. And actually, I'm going to say what I said at the Salem Housing Authority. You know, when you go through this and you look at this 5-year plan and you look at what it can accomplish and what we hope it will accomplish, this shows what staff is doing to address the unhoused and the housing crisis in our city, and how are we educating people about all the good work that is being done, and how are we educating folks so that they can too also get involved and help start being solution orientated as well. So my question is, how are we looking at this report in ways that we can use it as an educational tool for our community? How are we putting out the request for public feedback and comment? And then also, how are we, is part of the public comment process asking the service providers that we are supporting through this program to comment on how the program itself is running? Did that all make sense? I'm so sorry.
No, it all made sense. I just want to say that we get public comment in regards to the CAPER, which is the actual accomplishments reports. But we have to start back at the annual action plan, because it's during that process that we get public comment, as well as reach out to our partners to have them provide us their feedback in regards to what we can do better, what changes can be made to help them be more successful. So after you have that, then we have other processes where we go to the emergency housing network meetings. We go to the meetings that are put on by various organizations or entities in the community, including the COC. We ask for input at those processes, in addition to what you saw in the CAPER. Our goal is always to get as much public input as possible. And I was even going to ask Councilor Nordyke if she would like to give me the name of the individual who asked the questions, or even yourself. I'm happy to meet with them. We have a wonderful team of Tiffany Otis, myself, and Tony Whitler, and we are always available to meet with organizations, individuals, and or yourself if you would like additional information as well.
Okay. Anything else, Virginia? Okay. Anyone else? Okay, Shelley, thank you. Amy, do we do a motion on this now?
Yes, we do, Mayor. Thank you.
Councilor Hoy?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move we approve submittal of the 2021 to 2022 program year Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report, CAPER, for the Community Development Block Grant and Home Investment Partnership Programs to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Do you want to say anything, Chris?
I think we heard it all from Shelley. She did a great report, and I'm ready to vote.
Great. Okay. Amy, if you'd call the roll, please.
Councilor Stapleton.
Aye.
Councilor Nishioka.
Aye.
Councilor Phillips, absent. Councilor Leung.
Aye.
Councilor Gonzalez.
Aye.
Councilor Hoy.
Aye.
Councilor Nordyke.
Aye.
Councilor Varney.
Aye.
Mayor Bennett.
Aye. Okay, motion passes. We'll go ahead then with special orders of business. 3.3J, Councilor Nordyke.
Sure. I'm happy to speak about this.
I need your motion first.
Oh, okay, very good. One moment, please. I was so busy looking at the Keeper report. I need to find the motion again. 1 second. The only question I have, Mr. Mayor, is before I make the motion formally, is that I thought it would make more sense for us to discuss the staff report as a council before.
It actually, it can be part of the discussion, but I need a motion to get this on the floor.
All righty then. I move to direct staff to identify funding sources for City Council's consideration. And once the source has been budgeted, issue a request for proposals for a mobile crisis unit to serve.
Councilor, we're on two different pieces right now, I think. Didn't you pull 3.3J as well?
Yes. Was that not the item you were referring to?
No, I'm sorry, 3.3J. I apologize.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you so much. All right. So let's back up. All right. Let's see. So, one moment, please. I'm sorry. I need to go to that screen. Okay, let's see. So I moved to amend the legislative priorities list to add in $2 million for funds for a mobile crisis unit.
Okay. Not here in a second yet.
Second.
Leon?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead then, Councilor.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I appreciate your patience. We have a very full agenda tonight. So I looked at the legislative committee agenda for September 23, and I was very pleased to see that the city staff had recommended that we add legislative funding for a mobile crisis unit as part of a slate of potential projects for the committee's consideration. And I appreciate the discussion that was had, and I'm happy to address that. But from my perspective, there's been a great deal of interest in this council in supporting a mobile crisis unit, but budget has been a concern. It always is, right? Anytime you consider a new project, budgets are always a concern. So the city staff suggested that we could include it in our ask to the legislature. And if we add $2 million to our, as part of our legislative funding priorities, that would cover 2 years and then some for a mobile crisis. That would give us some stability and would enable us to, it would make that decision, I think, a lot easier for folks, given the budgetary concerns that we face.
Okay.
So for all those reasons, I'm recommending that we add it to our list of budgetary priorities.
So your motion then is to adopt the priorities for the 2023 Oregon legislative session recommended by the legislative committee and add a $2 million ask for a mobile crisis unit.
That's correct.
Okay, I want to just make sure it's real clear. Councilor Hoy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you for your comments, Councilor Nordyke. I can tell you that in the conversation, as I understood them at the legislative committee, the staff put forward the recommendation that we had taken forward at our last legislative session. And through conversation where we had talked about funding that had come forward in the meantime from the legislature to local governments, and i.e. counties, that we didn't feel that an ask for a specific program here in Salem would fly, frankly, because the funding is being allocated to counties and it's been allocated on a statewide basis through the 988 rollout and all of that. We felt like that it would not be worth our time to try to get specific funding for Salem this year because there's been that broader rollout of funding and we didn't think it would go anywhere. So we wanted to focus our priorities elsewhere and on things where we thought we had a reasonable chance of success. So that was the thought in not adopting the staff recommendation on that particular item. It's not because we don't support it. Everybody in the council has been unanimous repeatedly supporting mobile crisis. The question is, can we get, do we have an argument that could be made for Salem specifically at the legislature?
Okay. Oh, yeah, Councilor.
Sure. Unless there's anyone else who wants to speak up. So, you know, what I understand from talking to folks in the community and so on is that funding, there has been some money set aside for Marion County, no question. Marion County doesn't know how much that will be. And whatever Marion County does will be county-wide. And on top of that, it would not cover West Salem at all. So West Salem would get no coverage from their mobile response unit. And we have a number of individuals, especially folks experiencing homelessness in West Salem. We've had hundreds of people live in encampments in West Salem. So while I applaud and am happy to hear that Marion County will someday put together a mobile crisis unit, it would not serve West Salem. And there's some additional things too. So for one, the Marion County has had some challenges in recruiting persons for their first team. They are not planning on having any medical expertise on board other than basic first aid training. Ours would. Their first team that they're looking at would focus on evenings to assist their officers in the field. And I think that's why they've been having difficulties recruiting, because the graveyard shift is not exactly a popular shift. But what we know from our community partner who has expressed an interest in running our crisis service is it would cover daytime, roughly noon to 10 p.m., if I remember correctly. So it would cover different parts of the city. It would cover different times of day. It would have different types of professional staff on board. And I'm not hearing a disinterest from our legislature in supporting specific mobile crisis units. And I'm not persuaded that just because one particular bill did not give funding to the cities, that they have closed the door forevermore to supporting our cities. The fact of the matter is we make special requests to the legislature on a variety of things, such as a navigation center. That's not exactly a routine ask. Not every city got one. Not every county got one. There is a precedent for us making wish list items and special requests. And I think that's why the staff put it on there in the first place. So I think it is worth pursuing. If the worst thing the legislature can do is say no. But I don't want us to forego a potential opportunity to solve the budgetary question around a mobile crisis unit for at least 2 years. I mean, it would solve that question. And it doesn't hurt for us to make this ask, given that they know our strong interests. They know the strong community interests. They've heard from us over and over again. And they supported creating a mobile crisis unit funding in the first place. So I am much more optimistic that our legislature and our legislative delegation here in Salem knows of our strong, strong demand for this service. So I think it's worth putting it in our list of priorities.
Councilor Hoy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. To reiterate, the staff didn't include it because of the merits or not merits. They just simply rolled forward the priorities that we had in our previous priorities. And so it wasn't about anything other than that. And then we had a robust discussion about what our best strategies would be going forward for funding. I happen to know a little bit about how legislative priorities and funding work. And I happen to think that when you ask for something that is not likely to be included, that we dilute the chances of getting other things. Again, I'm not suggesting that you, Councilor, you talked a lot about the merits of the case. I'm not arguing the merits of the case. I have been fully supportive of mobile crisis and continue to be. And this, removing it from our legislative priority doesn't change that in my mind in any way. It just simply focuses our legislative priorities on the things that we think we have a reasonable chance to get funded, and enhances the opportunity or the likelihood that we'll get some of those things funded while we look for other sources for this funding for this program. And I would just suggest that the 988 program is a statewide program. It's not Marion County specific. And we actually have a call center already funded that's focusing both on Polk and Marion counties. It's a regional call center run by Northwest Human Services that provides 988 services it started several weeks ago. So those programs are rolling out, and then the mobile crisis is the next phase of that, and then the phase after that are actually facilities that will house folks who need a respite or a place to be when they're in a mental health crisis. So it's sort of a three-tiered or three-phased rollout. Then 988 dispatch or call center was the first phase, the mobile crisis is the second phase, and then the facilities are the third phase. So this isn't about the merits of wanting mobile crisis. We all still, as far as I know, everybody's still on board. This is about strategy and funding. So,
yeah, I got a second Councilor Hoy's comments. I've been the point person for us dealing with these financial issues with the legislature for the past 5-6 years, and it really takes a focused activity, and I think to dilute it is probably a mistake, particularly if there is a competing program, as the councilor described. Councilor Varney.
Thank you. I have more of a clarifying question. As I was looking at the other funding priorities, I was wondering if the actual Councilor Nordyke's proposal was for 2 million, just a one-time 2 million, or if it was 2 million per year, or if it was 2 million annually to support the services moving forward. Just to clarify.
2 million for 2 years, kind of akin to, I believe, we have another priority in there for a sobering center for multiple years. So this is akin to that. And I must say that out of all of these legislative priorities, Peace Plaza is not as high of a priority for our city as getting a mobile crisis unit going. I think that there are other ways to support Peace Plaza. Frankly, I think private fundraising would be supportive of that project as well. So if it's a question of dilution, another option would be to remove the 2 million for Peace Plaza and add the mobile crisis unit in lieu of that. But I think there is strong support from the legislature for creating these units. And the unit that we would create is very different from what Marion County wants to do. It's not the same thing. Okay. So anyway, I appreciate the conversation.
Councilor Varney, did you want to continue?
Well, just kind of an add-on, because I was just looking at the others in terms of priorities. And we really need the sheltering program, the navigation center, and we really need the sobering center, because we have to have those support services in place to handle referrals from a mobile crisis unit. And so I just wanted to mention that we've got to have those other pieces in place, either as well, or at least first, before we can really get a mobile crisis unit going. As much as I want to have one going, we also have to have those pieces or legs of the stool. Thank you.
Yeah. Councilor Leung.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is Jackie Leung, Councilor for Ward 4. I'm in agreement with Councilor Nordyke that we are continuing to see mental health being a major issue. And it's not just happening in Salem, but other parts of the county and in the state as well. And yes, there are some funding that's going towards other projects that we also wanted to prioritize, but this program and the ability to have a crisis unit readily available to work alongside the mobile crisis mental health team is a valuable resource. And I think one other consideration is earlier this year, there was two declarations that we had agreed upon we had voted upon as city councilors. One of them was declaring racism as a public health crisis, but then there was another one that was by Councilor, sorry, I'm a little bit brain fog right now. like Councilor Trevor.
Phillips.
Phillips, thank you.
You bet.
Phillips, specifically talking about healthcare as a public having access to, healthcare as a right. Healthcare is a right, and that is something we really need to consider, especially as we're moving forward in how we decide upon this. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we have a motion on the floor to add $2 million to the legislative priority list. So that's the motion we'll be voting on if you're ready to vote. Okay. Amy, if you'd call a roll.
Councilor Nishioka.
Thank you for having me first. Again, oh boy, it's not a comment, it's a vote. I will vote yay.
Councilor Phillips, absent. Councilor Leung.
Aye.
Councilor Gonzalez.
Aye.
Councilor Hoy.
No.
Councilor Nordyke.
Aye.
Councilor Varney.
Nay.
Councilor Stapleton.
Nay.
Mayor Bennett.
Nay. Okay, the motion fails.
Mr. Mayor, I move staff recommendation.
I'll second it.
For all the reasons we've just talked about, I think that this is the way to go. Again, this isn't about the merits of mobile crisis. This is about our legislative priorities. That just means that we're looking at other ways to fund this program that aren't included in our legislative priorities currently.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, Amy, if you'd call the roll.
Councilor Phillips, absent. Councilor Leung.
Nay.
Councilor Gonzalez.
Aye.
Councilor Hoy.
Aye.
Councilor Nordyke.
Nay.
Councilor Varney.
Aye.
Councilor Stapleton.
Aye.
Councilor Nishioka.
Aye.
Mayor Bennett.
Aye. Okay, motion passes. I count that right? Okay, great. 5A, Councilor Nordyke.
Thank you. One moment, please.
Okay.
Just toggling screens here. One moment, almost there. Okay, agenda item 5A. I move to direct staff to identify funding sources for City Council's consideration. And once a source has been budgeted, issue a request for proposals for a mobile crisis unit to serve the City of Salem.
I'll second it.
Second by Nishioka. Okay.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. So I've talked a lot about crisis units already, so I don't want to repeat what I've said. I think that there are a few things that are really worth pointing out as we consider the options. So we have a community partner who is ready to apply for a request for proposals. So including that in the motion has a lot to do with encouraging that we move forward. Now, of course, we all are concerned about budget for everything, for every project that we have. So when I sat down with our city staff, I talked about how do we best craft this motion so that it makes sense, so that it covers both our desire to first find out a suitable funding source and then explore the RFP, because I'm very interested in moving forward with an RFP, but you can't move forward with an RFP until you have money. So that's why the city staff recommended structuring the motion in this way.
Okay.
If there are specific questions for me about the crisis unit, we can certainly talk about that. One thing I do want to reiterate is that the crisis unit is about meeting people where they are and serving folks who are not currently being served. And the vast majority of these calls are not being transported to a sobering center. The vast majority are not. In Eugene, just 24% of 20,000 or so calls a year result in transport to any location. And sure, some of those might be transport to sobering, but many other destinations might be a governmental agency office. It might be a shelter. It might be any number of other providers. So I just want to remind folks of that. Also, the Portland Street response, they do not transport 24% of their calls. It's been much lower in their first year. It will probably ramp up as other services ramp up with it. But I just want to make sure folks understand, because that's a misconception that I've heard before. And until I actually read the analysis done by the Eugene Police Department crime unit, they have a specific unit that does crime analysis. They produced an excellent report, which I'm happy to share with any number of my peers and put it on the web if need be. But we're talking about meeting different groups of people. And there are plenty of times when a call is too dangerous to dispatch a civilian-led unit, which is why I've supported a unit that does go out with police. But these address different folks. And I think that's one of the things that gets me really excited about this. So if, I talked to one of my peers before the meeting who had some concerns about moving forward with the second half of the motion about having an RFP. And I'm happy to entertain some friendly amendments because my goal is to just help keep us moving forward. I'm disappointed that we didn't at least think that we have decided as a body to not add this to our legislative priorities, because that could have been a funding source right there. And so by declining to ask for that money from the legislature as part of our priority list, we'll just have to think of something else. So I understand why councilors voted the way they did, but my goal is to help us find budgeting sources that don't create a lot of pain and economic distress for other programs that we're doing. So while I'm disappointed in the vote on legislative priorities, I accept the council's decision. And so let's start off with getting the staff to present funding options for our consideration. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Councilor Hoy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Councilor Nordyke. I agree with what you just said. I do have a concern about the way the motion is structured, and I do have a friendly amendment I would like to, or an amended motion I'd like to offer that will continue to move us forward. I remain fully supportive of this program. I want to make sure that we're doing it in a way that is transparent and that allows us to make decisions along the way. So I would offer an amended motion. I move to direct staff to identify funding sources for City Council's consideration for a mobile crisis unit to serve the City of Salem.
Second.
Second by Stapleton.
And thank you, Mr. Mayor. And this would allow us to do the process exactly as outlined by Councilor Nordyke, but then we would have an opportunity to consider that information that staff gathers, and then we could further essentially make the second half of the motion once we're satisfied with the first half, the action on the first half. So that it just basically breaks it into two. The first half would be tonight. Second half would come after staff does their work.
Okay. Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Stapleton.
Thank you so much. I wanted to say thank you to both Councilor Nordyke and Councilor Hoy. I was also concerned about the second half because one thing I've learned as being a city councilor is that I thought I had a lot of patience. And then once I became a city councilor, I realized that I do not have enough patience because you want all these things right now. And as a city councilor, good Lord, you are given, I guess, keys to see the city in a way that you didn't before. And all of the hurdles that are before you and the budgetary concerns, which is kind of where I land on this one. I am really concerned about budget. And I know we just had a finance committee meeting and Councilor Nordyke and I were talking about that exact thing and how are we going to address that. And so I'm really thankful that one, Councilor Nordyke, you were open to the friendly amendment, and that two, Councilor Hoy, that you were able to put something forward that I think everybody can get behind, because I know I am 100% for this idea. I just need to get there with everything being considered. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Councilor Gonzalez.
Thank you, Mayor. Jose Gonzalez, City Councilor, Ward 5. I appreciate everybody's patience. I'm not able to get on camera. I think the only real gift we have in life is life. It's the only gift that we take away, that we take with us when we're gone. And how do we know it's a gift? Because when you're born, now as a parent, you know that these babies, they're gifts to us. Teachers know that these kids walking in are gifts. And when some of our community members are in tough situations, as the brother of the person who spoke earlier, Daniel Garcia situation this past week, the people around them hurt. The community hurts, and overall, we're doing a great job, but we're always going to be judged by what happens to the most vulnerable. As we move forward, I'm on the same page, hoping we can get this done as soon as possible. Thanks.
Thank you, Jose. Councilor Nishioka.
Thank you, Mayor Bennett. Yes, I am so for this project, but of course, finding the funding is critical, and hoping that we could get the state to maybe come in, but not fully understanding all of those rules at this point. I feel that we definitely need city staff to look at funding opportunities, because our community wants this, and I think we need to find ways to support it. I also had concerns about making sure that the 911 calls that come in can be screened properly so the right services are sent. So I feel that there's a lot of things in particular, but we have resources, as Councilor Nordyke has pointed out, Portland and Eugene, to help with understanding how those processes are. But we definitely need to find some sort of creative funding for this wonderful project. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Councilor Barney.
Thank you very much. I wanted to say thank you to Councilor Hoy for the friendly amendment, and Councilor Nordyke for being open to hearing it. For me, when I think about an RFP, it describes the scope of the project. And it's really important that we have an idea of how much money we're working with, because I look at the Eugene program, and they didn't go full time for almost 27 years. We need to step into this, and I don't know what we're going to have to work with. And I spent time today, obviously, reviewing the staff report for today. And then I went back and looked at all the work that staff did back in the May 14 staff report, when they were first investigating all the different things we could be looking at. And for me, I just would feel comfortable having a better idea of kind of a range of what we're looking for and what we can do with that. So thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Hoy, I had a question. I just wanted to see if you wanted to expand on it a little bit. You talked about the 988 program. How does this fit with this program? And I'm also thinking of the other mobile unit programs in both Polk and Marion County. Kind of where are we at this point?
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I'm assuming that those conversations will continue despite whatever we do tonight, that we'll continue those conversations about what that's going to look like in our region. I do think we'll probably have to do two different things depending on which side of the bridge you're on. It's hard to tell for sure yet how that's going to shake out. I anticipate those conversations continuing no matter what we do tonight. I think this will just continue us down the path in case the city wants to do its own thing, but we'll still have those other options, and we'll still be exploring those no matter what. That's how I see it. That's my intention, is to continue those conversations with our county partners to make sure we have the best seamless service that we can. And and I don't, like Councilor Nordyke stated, I don't know the timeline yet for those, so it's kind of hard to. It's all just rolling out, and we're building the airplane while we're trying to fly it.
Yeah.
Some of these. So, so this kind of,
that's that other issue we're building. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think what this does is just continues us down the path. It doesn't wait for them to do whatever it is that they're going to do, but we'll certainly be continuing those conversations and working with our county partners to make sure that we have some sort of integrated system no matter what happens.
Yeah. Will there be in the future, whether it's a work session or a report from Marion and hopefully and from Polk County as well on how they're implementing these so they can be evaluated in terms of what Councilor Nordyke has been recommending, which is essentially, and I know I'm oversimplifying, but essentially the kind of cahoots type project, the more civilianized, where the public can understand what's going on out there on this stuff.
Yeah, I would hope so. And we've actually laid some really great groundwork with our work right now in the Navigation Center and the work group that we have going, and working with Marion County Behavioral Health and with our community partners on establishing what that's going to look like, which I think is some really great groundwork for this project, no matter how this looks. I think we have great conversations and great partnerships building, not just with the county, but also with the Willamette Health Council, with our local, with Pacific Source and others. There's a lot of different folks who have a vested interest in this whole conversation, and they're at the table for that Navigation Center conversation currently, and excited about where that's going to take us.
Great. And then one final question. As we look at the upcoming legislative session, and you know this as well as I, and as other members of the council do as well, that these are, the legislative session is a very fluid situation and opportunities arise and fall. Will we remain open over the next 8 to 10 months, whatever the length of session is, to coming forward? I mean, do we have the opportunity? I don't get the sense we're foregoing 2 to 4 to 10, whatever is available. Is that a fair statement?
I think that's a very fair statement. I actually intended to make that statement earlier, and I neglected to. This funding for a mobile crisis unit it could be included in the broader priorities that we have. So it's consistent with our city legislative priorities. We're just not at this time making a specific ask and making a specific ask a priority, but should an opportunity present itself, or should it look like things are shifting, we can certainly shift the priority. And if there's an opportunity to get funding for this thing, we can do it. It just doesn't put it out there up front. It allows us, I think, to be a little bit more nimble and a little bit more strategic. That's how I see it.
Okay, great. Thank you. I appreciate you kind of going into that a little bit. Any further questions? Why don't we go ahead and vote on Councilor Hoy's amendment? Amy, would you call the roll?
Yes, Councilor Leung.
Aye.
Councilor Gonzalez.
Aye.
Councilor Hoy.
Aye.
Councilor Nordyke.
Aye.
Councilor Varney.
Aye.
Councilor Stapleton.
Aye.
Councilor Nishioka.
Aye.
Councilor Phillips absent. Mayor Bennett.
Aye. Okay, motion passes. Thank you very much. It was an interesting discussion. Okay, we'll move to information reports. Who wants information on information reports or thoughts on them? Anybody? Okay. We will go then to, just 1 second, first readings. Amy?
Ordinance Bill number 2022, an ordinance declaring certain territory located at 4650 and 4680 Hazelgreen Road Northeast and land adjacent, annexed to the city of Salem, prescribing Salem Area Comprehensive Plan Map designation, prescribing zoning, and withdrawing the territory from the Marion County Fire District number 1.
Very good. That is Councilor Gonzalez. Your word.
I move staff recommendation.
Okay.
Second.
Second by Hoy. Okay, let's go ahead and vote unless there's some further discussion. Amy, you want to?
Councilor Gonzalez.
Aye.
Councilor Hoy.
Aye.
Councilor Nordyke.
Aye.
Councilor Barney.
Aye.
Councilor Stapleton.
Aye.
Councilor Nishioka.
Aye.
Councilor Phillips absent. Councilor Leung.
Aye.
Mayor Bennett.
Aye. Okay, motion passes. Amy, do you want to take us through what we're going to do or what you want us to do on 22-444?
I sure will. So this is just a quick note for ordinance bill number 1722. I'll be reading both the first and second readings of the ordinance because we failed to do so. I failed to do so at the last meeting. So once I read it the second time, I'll just immediately follow that with the roll call vote. So there's no motion that needs to be made at this point. So I will begin with the first reading. An ordinance bill number 1722, an ordinance relating to Salem Revised Code, Chapter 2, administering oaths, creating new provisions. And second reading, ordinance bill number 1722, an ordinance relating to Salem Revised Code, Chapter 2, administering oaths, creating new provisions. Councilor Hoy.
Aye.
Councilor Nordyke.
Aye.
Councilor Barney.
Aye.
Councilor Stapleton.
Aye.
Councilor Nishioka.
Aye.
Councilor Phillips absent. Councilor Leung.
Aye.
Councilor Gonzalez. Councilor Gonzalez.
Aye.
Mayor Bennett.
Aye. Okay, motion passes. I don't see any further business. We are adjourned.